All right. It is
Here we
Friday.
are.
Yes.
We're fired up.
We are fired up. What up, brother?
Yes, we are. What's up, brother?
What up? Okay, so you're back. You just,
I'm back.
Yeah, you literally came in last night from like
I just ping my Canada trips between Fired Up Friday because I'm so fired up. I'm like, look, I can't leave until after 10 o'clock Friday morning. I got to be back before 7 o'clock Friday morning.
yeah, so you get fired up to go to Canada.
I do.
And
I
then,
do.
And then you,
It really carries me. Carries me.
there you go, dude. I love it. I love it. So was it good?
It was good. It
I
was
saw
really
like
good.
you were doing puzzles and
Oh my gosh, yeah. We hit some puzzles pretty hard.
So it's like just like a nice little family thing.
Yeah, me and my mom. So like her sleep is real weird, obviously. So like at night, it'll be like 10:30 at night. She's like, I'm feeling good. So we just sit
right
around
on.
and do a
Very
puzzle for
cool.
a couple hours, and yeah, it's awesome.
Very cool.
That's great.
So anything else going on in the realm of Hero Nation?
Man, we got really cool stuff going on. So we got Broker Boardroom in New York, which is going to be awesome.
Michelle is very like
Yes,
she couldn't
dude.
she was talking about it yesterday.
It is so good. I mean, we got the people we have coming in. I mean, one guy's flying in on his plane from Bahamas and then just going to go back. Like he's going to come in for a couple hours, do his thing. Like it's insane. So it's going to be amazing. And here's what's cool about that. Like people are doing it the hardest way, right? Like, and to try to do it all on your own is so tough. So to get these people together and there's no ego, it's all like, hey, we're phenomenal at this, but we're struggling with this, and to have real like one-on-one conversations and to go into it. Like we've all been part of way too many BS rooms. So I love that we're doing that. So that'll be amazing. And then we got coaches training coming up, which will be really, really good. So if you're like leading a team or you want to become a coach.
So you're going to like train the trainer.
Yeah, exactly. So we do 2 days and like
okay.
it's literally at my house. People come, I let 6 to 8 people come, and it's like 2 days of like, well, what if they say that? Like, and I like teach them coaching models and everything else. And like people like they want to be leaders, but nobody taught them how to do this stuff.
Right.
And they're like, I feel like I could coach my team better, but I'm not that great at it. I'm like, because you never learned. Like,
Well, yeah, and it's like, oh wow, wait, you're shocked that you're not good at the thing
exactly,
you've never done
yeah.
before.
So I like open up the doors, like, hey, here's everything I've learned and gathered in 20 years, and we like combine that, and they walk away with like phenomenal stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, for leaders, for people that want to be coaches, it's incredible.
Well, dude, and kudos to you for like giving away the secret sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because that is so. I will freely admit that it is a learned behavior. So like yesterday, I'm at we're at the Real Producers Homeless Veterans benefit thing.
Yeah.
Fundraiser. And there's a new photographer that walks in the deal. I'm like, you know, I get
Someone's about to have a little
I get
heart attack.
Why not? I get territorial.
Oh,
just the ego.
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
the ego gets territorial
Yeah.
or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I have that like I don't know. Maybe it's like my inner Wayne.
Yeah.
Telling me like, bro, this is not the way.
This is not the way.
And so I literally sit down.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. We start talking. And then the cool thing, of course, is it helps that he's like my age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And he's like all tatted up and shit. And I'm like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I no longer want to kill you, or I no longer,
Right.
you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
But then I'm telling Lance, like, dude, we're totally gonna we're gonna get this guy.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah.
But that is new for me.
Yeah.
And to be like, so I'm proud of myself for being able to
Dude,
recognize that.
yeah, absolutely.
But I like the idea that you do that at the next, because like me sitting at a table at Metroplex or whatever, like, whoa, you know, like, wow, major breakthrough.
It is a breakthrough. It's awesome. Yeah.
But for you to actually do that intentionally and to like literally do you do it for a weekend? Do you do it for?
So we do. So it's usually like a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, and bring them in. And dude, I think that especially in the last couple of years, like during COVID, everybody became a coach. Most of them suck, right? Like they maybe they got good at building a landing page or something, but like the actual like coaching piece of it, man, is terrible. And so I think we've got to kind of bring back some respect to this game in a sense. And like there's so many people that want to be good at it. They just need like the tools, right? It's like they want to be a great mechanic, but nobody ever taught them like, hey, here's how you take it apart. Here's the thing to use. Like, and so like, that's what I get to do. They all want to help people. They all want to be better leaders. They all want to see their people grow, but they're just unequipped, right?
Yeah.
And to give them like, hey, here's this coaching model. Here's this coaching model. Here's what, like, it's so helpful for them.
Well,
so.
and now do you break it down into like separate verticals of like, okay, this is a person that just wants to be a coach, versus this is somebody who has the need for coaching skills, because like like for me, I don't think if I live to be 1,000, I probably won't wake up one day and be like, I need to coach people. I need to. Now I will
No,
freely
it's
give
like
unsolicited
coaching
advice.
skills, and then if they can go do with that, and then we talk about some coaching business models and stuff, which is cool. But it really is on the skill side, and I think the greatest salespeople are actually just really good coaches.
Interesting.
Like if you're phenomenal at sales, you're just one of the things you're great at is coaching. You're like, man, what would it be like if you did have better photography? What would it be like if we did have a video of you every single, like, it's like, man, I think you're missing out on this. Like, what would it look like if you're able to do this and craft it? What's the hard about that?
So
like you're coaching people all day long. And I think the greatest salespeople are they're really, really good coaches. When we say, I don't want to be a salesperson, what somebody's saying is, I don't want to talk people into something they don't want.
Right.
Right.
I always say that I'm not in the convincing business.
Right, exactly. Like, none of us want to be that. But great salespeople are really just coaches. They're like, hey, where did you want to go? Why is that important to you? What's held you back? Man, well, what if we did it this way and we could figure this out? Like you're just coaching people all day long, right? When you're great at sales. But most people haven't really like got that skill honed in.
Well, and kind of what you were saying about the idea of like, okay, I have a team.
Right.
And that's different than wanting to be a coach to just anybody that
for sure, absolutely,
that hits your landing page.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I'm learning that that's a thing and that it's necessary to like,
100%.
Some people need a pep rally. Some people need to be left alone.
Yeah.
Some people need to get thrown in the deep end and they feel better about themselves that you trusted them without saying anything.
Yeah. Well, and we all err on one side. So like there's like this whole balance like care and candor. And like most people, some people are too hard to hear. Some people, so all of that is another aspect of it too.
And I err on the side of death grip.
Right. Or you're dead to me. Right, like death grip or dead to me. Right, it's like
they kind of ride shotgun with each other.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I find like the more that I get okay with letting go, and because now that there are so many moving parts, and it's like then it becomes exhausting to try to manage all the moving parts
100%.
in the death grip. Because it's like, dude, you only have so much hand strength, bro.
100. Yes.
And now with multiple locations and multiple people and VAs and stuff and just the craziness.
So what with you? Because here's what's interesting: you're hitting your complexity ceiling, right? And most people like, oh, I'm just not meant to do this, or this is too much. But what they're not identifying is like, okay, what like way of doing stuff is like maxed out. So like it's an agent that has like when they had 5 leads, they could keep it all in their head and whatever, but they get 100 leads and like, oh shoot, and they don't know how to deal with it because their system didn't support that, right? So it's like a complexity ceiling. So what do you like? What's the complexity ceiling you find you're hitting as you're growing?
A lot of it originally it was the individual, and this is what I was talking to the guy yesterday at Metroplex. As a one-man band, you have that complexity ceiling is really constrained to how many hours are there in a day.
Yeah.
And the bandwidth and of course there'd be like a little bit of play in how good are you at the things.
Right.
So if it's like shooting, editing, and that sort of thing, it's like, okay, well, are you better at shooting than you are at editing? Okay, well then maybe you should outsource that.
That's what you want to give.
Or the shortcut in the beginning was shoot as if you're the editor.
Interesting.
And so there was like all these adaptive things where, and like for me, it got to be ridiculous where if I shot something and we were out in the field and I knew I wasn't going to use that piece of footage, I'm deleting it right there.
Yeah.
Where so many people that I've had work with me, work for me, etc., they shoot everything and they carpet bomb.
And then they can't edit.
Yeah. And then they got to go back through and pan for gold and all this stuff. And it was like, dude, they were oblivious to the thought that like, oh, I could even do a little bit to make later, the future Homer.
Yeah.
Where it's like in The Simpsons, I think Homer drinks like a glass of whiskey and mayonnaise and just like and he goes, boy, that doesn't seem very healthy. And he goes, oh, that's a future Homer problem. I don't envy that guy.
Yeah.
And it's like that where it was like, okay, wow, once I started to dial it in for and systemize, even just in my little world. But then it becomes now, okay, there's marketing, there's this, there's that, there's all these other moving parts. And now I went from death grip to like, I am so grateful and so fired up to be able to plug people in.
Absolutely.
And it's like, wow, things are happening without me actually having to dictate every moment. And so is that something that you like teach folks is like
absolutely
the delegation thing?
Yeah.
And now how do you get them over, because I'm sure there was an element of ego where like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done how perfectly.
Man, and I think there's part of that, but I think people have like, I think delegation is so huge because, the reality is time is unlimited, meaning like with my virtual assistants, right? So like I have a couple of virtual assistants and my virtual assistants cost me $600 to $700 a month and each one works 40 hours a week. So for $700, I get 40 hours. That's pretty insane, right? It's like, how many times can I do that, right? But here's the thing: people either delegate like hot potato, where they're like, hey, run my social media, boom, and like they just expect somebody to be amazing at that in 5 seconds. It's like it's probably not going to happen.
Yes.
Or they're like, hey, run my social media, and they don't even give the passwords out. You know what I mean? So it's like somewhere in the middle, right? But like what I taught actually, I was interested to teach one of my clients. Actually, I was sitting in the parking lot at Metroplex doing a coaching call about 3 months ago, and he's like, "Man, I'm not hiring anybody. I'm not doing leverage, whatever it is." And then like I started walking through the process and how we're going to do this and everything. And now I think he has 3 virtual assistants. His business is blowing up because he's not doing everything. And he started with like, "Hey, you do this one thing and do this well 4 times a day." Like it started simple. Started with how he's going to teach them, right? He records videos, but like it's like handing off the baby, right? It's like doing it in a slow, intentional way. So I teach him the delegation process. And we go through all of that. And here's the thing: even if that VA, let's say that VA is slower than he is, right?
And they're going to be.
Yeah, and they're going to be, right? But let's say they can do it at, my goal is like, I want somebody that can do it at 80% as well as I can. Somewhere, right? So if they're at 70, can I get them to 80, 85%? And then if I can get 2 people, instead of my 100%, now I got 160, 170% of outflow. So like that's kind of the way to think about it. So what I do is we go through this delegation tree, and the simplest way is like, we look at all of their activities, like coaching client, whatever it is. And the first thing we look at is like, what can we delete? Like what in this do we just not even need to be doing in the first place? Like usually there's some stuff we just don't even need to be doing at all, right? It's like don't film that 3 seconds. We're not doing. Don't even film the thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, what can we delete from their schedule or their to-dos, whatever it is? Second level is, what can we automate or systemize? So like my clients are like ordering paper. It's like, stop, like set that up on auto ship in Amazon and never order paper again.
Amen.
Like this is insane. Why are we doing this thing, right? So like, what can we automate or systematize, right? Even their touches, like they're like, one of my clients like, man, I have a really hard time remembering to do this quarterly planning meeting. And I was like, why are we doing it for the first time every time? Right, so like we went in his calendar and we scheduled 4 quarterly meetings, like recurring throughout the year, and just copies, right?
Yes.
And then we also put in his calendar a reminder that the quarterly meetings are coming up. So now he's like, oh shoot! It's like, but instead of relying on memory, is like the worst thing to rely on if you don't have to.
Oh, and not only that, it's the Dunning-Kruger thing where everybody overestimates how, because, and now as I get older, of course my memory gets shittier, and it's like, it's like I'm gonna die on this hill, and it's like, why, And that whole thing of I don't know about you, but I tend to like flip and I'll do the 180. It used to be like, oh no, I just remember everything. And now I'm like, if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen.
100%. Like why rely on memory when you can do all these other things? And even if you have a great memory, like let's open up more capacity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't need to remember the planning meeting and I need to do this and remember, like, let's just do it all on the calendar, all in reminders, all the things, you know what I mean? Which is huge. And then the third level, so if I can't systemize it or process or make a system around it or a process around it. And sometimes the system process is just like print off 40 buyer packets at once. Right, like don't do it one at a time. Right, like all those kinds of things. Then the third level, right? So can I delete it? Can I systemize or automate it? Third level is, can I give it away? So third level is like leverage or delegation. So like, who could I give this to, or could I give this away? Is this even my job? And a lot of times with my clients, maybe they're not ready to go out and hire 15 people, but we'll make a list of like, they'll start like a do not do list. Here's the things I'd love to not do, or here's the things I'd love to give away in the near future. And we start going through that, and sometimes that just becomes a whole job profile.
Dude, I'm over here making that list in my head.
Dude, absolutely. You're like, man, so now, I don't want to do this upload. I don't want to do this. Like, and you start just making that do not do list, and then from that, parts of that you take, man, these 8 things I think are actually a job, right? $600 a month. Could I have somebody do this and do it probably better than me? Yes.
So to that,
yeah,
it's like, I love the idea,
right?
Intellectually, I love the concept of having an assistant, like an actual assistant, that it's like, hey, here is like behind the firewall of all my emails and my phone and just whatever. And then it's like, that also kind of freaks me out.
So there's two kinds of assistance, I think, or help. So the first kind is like, hey, here's your job description, go do this. Almost the first level that people like you and I need is a chaos manager.
Yes.
Someone that comes in and is like, I don't know. Like, I just need help. I don't even, like, they're like, what do I do every day? It's like, I don't know. Like, here's my phone. Like, my emails is like, you almost need someone in the beginning, especially that is like, we call them executive assistants, whatever it is, but usually it's someone's like, my stuff's on fire, I need help.
Yeah, like a work nanny.
Yes, exactly. And they come in and they're like, and like you, like, I love the analogy of like, I can make spaghetti, right? Like, I can't actually make spaghetti, right? But like, I can make a mess, right? Like, hey, here's all this pasta on the table, right? And I can huck it over my shoulder, but I need someone back there that's like lining it out and putting like the spaghetti nice little rows and boxing it up, right? Exactly. Like, I can make a mess, right? I can go make sales. You can go make sales, right? Like we can go to, but then it's like, oh, did they get put in the system correctly?
Well,
are they on the reminders?
Exactly where I'm at.
Did they get their check sheets? Like all that stuff.
So, and it's interesting to see whenever the system's actually, because the other thing is when you're building the plane in midair, it's like there is no system.
No.
And it's like I do a bunch of crazy shit, and then I kind of figure it out at like 9 o'clock at night that this is what needs to happen or whatever. But now that I bring folks in and we're systemizing things along the way. Like, for example, yesterday, to have Tasha or the other folks running around the room and kind of soliciting things, and then all of a sudden see the calendar populate.
Yes.
And I didn't have anything to do with that.
It's beautiful.
And it's like, whoa, okay, this is killer.
Yes.
You know, and then I love the idea like where you have multiple VAs. And shout out to Tom Trong with EXP.
Boom.
Boston, the king. He's got a virtual assistant in every time zone.
Oh, wow.
So he is he's the king of agent attraction, and he is the king of like, absolutely. Like, this dude is working 24 hours a day, but not. You know?
So
and
good.
it's like, hashtag goals.
Yeah.
You know, where. Like,
but for you, here's what I think is important for a lot of people like you and I is you almost need that you can get some VAs to do a bunch of stuff, but you need that kind of head person.
Yes.
So you're that head person right now, kind of.
Yeah, I'm trying to manifest
but
that.
But like what you need is you need that person that is, and we would call it the integrator from the book Rocket Fuel and stuff. So the integrator is kind of the person that stands between you and everybody else. And they're like, hey, Rick needs this, or Rick needs this report, whatever. But they're kind of like, oh, Sarah, did you do this? Or like they're kind of the one that's managing and keeping the house in order, or kind of like the house mom in a sense.
Chaos manager.
And that's who you need next. Is kind of like that person that's kind of managing all the other people and bringing in the analogies that allows you to stay in the cockpit, right? You're the pilot, you're in the cockpit, and you have the head stewardess, whatever, that's bringing you like, hey, everybody's got their seatbelt. Hey, here's the thing. Hey, we checked the thing. Like they're bringing you the stuff, but you don't have to like leave the cockpit to be like, hey, did anybody close the door? Right? It's like you have someone that's going like, hey, here's the stuff I got done, and you can do your
we
one
got
thing.
The bags, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dude, I absolutely need that in my life. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I'm sure my trust issues will have no problem.
And then here's the cool thing about trust. Trust is like trust yet verify. So most entrepreneurs think like, oh, I just have to blindly trust somebody, and that's how it feels. It's like, no, that's idiotic. What you need to do is build a way of inspecting what you expect. So like that's the dashes on the camera when you're in the cockpit, right? So it's like, hey, Tasha made her calls. Hey, here's the, like, I can quickly look at the dashboard and know that like, hey, you know, this person did this, like, oh, they're behind on this. Like I need to be able to visually kind of see the dashboard, and that's what allows you to like trust and yet verify.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, bringing the heat today,
Boom.
bro.
That's all we do on Fired Up Friday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring the freaking
Speaking
heat.
of, let's. So my gimmick's blowing up over here.
There we go. By the way, every agent has survived the last couple of weeks, which has been really interesting. So
right?
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Although, I do know of like chaos in the upper.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes.
Echelon segments of management, but that's a different show for a different day.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Question from the Hero Nation audience. What up?
What up?
If you could only teach one principle to your clients for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Man, that's one principle to my clients. It would be, I think, intentionality and intentional reflection. So it would be like, how intentional are you going into your day? Like, here's what I want from today. Here's my three, most important things for the day. Same thing. Like, I think intentionality, you can have almost anything. If you set the intention, you get clear on what you want and where you want to go. Right. So I think intentionality is huge. And then intentionality on reflecting, going like, what didn't work this week? What didn't work today? What do I want? What do I want to stop doing? What do I want to start doing? What do I want to do more of? So I think intentional reflection and then like tweaking the action is everything.
So what do you do for somebody that doesn't have the awareness yet to be intentional?
Yeah, so that's when we dial it up.
Okay.
So you either need a hand up, a hug, or a kick in the ass. So that's the ass kicking part. So that's where I'll have my clients, some of them, I'll have them track what they're doing in 15-minute increments. So every 15 minutes,
you go
an
granular.
alarm goes off, and they write down, here's what I was doing the last 15 minutes. And so they do that for 2 or 3 days, and it's amazing. They're like, stared at social media. Don't actually know what I did the last 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like held grass, right? Like you know what I mean? So we do think we invoke awareness, and that goes back to that quote. Awareness, in and of itself, can be transformational.
Yeah.
So what my job a lot of times is like just invoking awareness, or like it's kind of like when you're dealing with an addict or somebody else. Like, you keep doing this keeps happening. Like, are you cool with that? And they're like, oh shoot, that actually makes. Oh yeah, like sometimes we're not even aware.
So many people are the vast majority are on autopilot.
Yes.
You know, and then like I would say the flip side of that intentionality and everything is the grit and the perseverance.
Absolutely.
I don't know what happened, and it's like, not to be like old man yelling at clowns or whatever, but there's this aspect of today where everybody just quits.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. You know, and all of the stuff that I thought was ridiculous when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Wow, it turns out to be like pretty useful.
We stopped teaching people that it should, like, it's going to be hard. Hard is part of it. Hard is the way. And I think we stopped teaching people that, and this is, I think, so interesting. People are like, what do you do to gain happiness? I don't think we necessarily gain, like, I don't think happiness is the goal.
No,
I think
it's not a destination.
No, we do hard stuff, and then we're proud of ourselves for doing hard stuff. Like, we're happy of who we are and proud of ourselves for doing stuff. So I think it's like happiness and personal pride and confidence comes from doing tough stuff. And I think that's what actually leads to happiness. That's what leads to joy. That's what leads to fulfillment. And we've kind of stopped like really promoting or sharing how amazing it is to do hard things and be proud of yourself for doing hard things.
And that evidence breeds confidence.
Yes, absolutely.
And the thing that comes with that, or the byproduct, is not only the happiness and the sort of self, not even necessarily the negative aspects of pride, but that sort of feeling good at what you are capable of.
Yeah.
Not necessarily even like what you're going to do or could do or whatever, but what you have done based on the fact that you did it.
Exactly.
And there is so much shit now to where it's like, I don't know what, I'm sure statistically or something, there could be something that happened that I would quit. You know, I mean, mathematically, that's certainly possible. I mean, it's got to, hopefully it's like, fractional numbers. But now I look back, and also the other thing is there's no traceable roadmap that I took to get here. It was just that I didn't quit.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
And I look back and like now we live in this age of like instant gratification on every level. And technology has democratized distribution to where, okay, I can, like now too, like the TikTokification of Earth has become ridiculous. Where on the one hand, okay, that's cool. You can throw something up there, and the next thing you know, you've got 70 million views, and you're popular. But that is a circumstance, but it's not an achievement.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus something that you built and takes time, and it's like, oh my God. And then all the hustle porn that I'm into and everything, it's like, this is what hard looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a big part of that is doing the same thing over and over again without any kind of indication that it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, most things are 10-year overnight successes, right? It's like, it took 10 years to have that, what looks to everybody else as an overnight success. Yeah.
Versus the flip side of the TikTokification where, where now, people see something, and it's, they got 70 million views. And then you look at that guy 6 months later and they're, they're under a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's If you could go back in time and give your 25-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would probably be, man, if I go back and give my 25-year-old self one piece of advice, I think it would be, man, that's a big one. It would probably have to do I would probably say only do stuff that makes you proud of you. I spent a lot of years doing things to try to make everybody else happy, or try to be who I thought I was supposed to be. And I think it would be like find yourself, but only do things that make you proud of you, and don't sacrifice that. That would probably be the biggest thing.
Amen.
Yep.
Of course, mine would be like stay away from opiates.
Yes, absolutely.
But other than that, that thing is huge. Like, just to paraphrase what you were talking about, the idea of I'm doing things for the optics versus for any kind of other reason.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of perception management, it's like, okay, well, I need you to think of me in a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm over here reading your mind.
Yeah.
Not well,
Yeah.
of course, because I'm trying to do shit to make you think of me the way I think that I need you to think of me, which is like, I mean, it's like a 7-layer burrito of just ridiculousness.
For sure, yeah.
That then you chase your tail and you end up in these situations. What is the thing where it's like you borrow money or you spend money that you don't have to buy shit to impress people you don't like.
Yep.
You know? And it's like, wow, USA. You know, and we kind of got to that level now, and so many people do that and they don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
And like, it's funny because like me and Cruz, you know, my right hand man, my Jedi, the new Jedi graduate. We both have cracked windshields on our car, and I'm always giving him hell. I'm like, dude, mine's worse. Mine's worse, bro.
Yeah.
And but it's like I literally I have less than 0 F's to give about any of that stuff, and I'll drive that car till it disintegrates. Now, there is a part of me where like, okay, if I was like just like Bezos, well, I might have a Rolls Royce that's like, you know, a football field or whatever, just because it's ridiculous. But to be in a spot where I don't have to have that to feel good or to make you think a certain way, it's like, dude, that shit's priceless.
Yeah, dude, it is. And I was talking to a client about this, or a friend about this, actually like 2 nights ago. And she just says, like, I don't feel the need to go out and buy the this and buy the this and all the stuff, right? And just like, because you know who you are, like your identity is solid. Your identity comes from within, and you're okay with like the car with the cracked windshield doesn't define me. Like you're good with me, right? And it's like if the person says no to me or is angry at me, like that doesn't define me. You know what I mean? And so but you have to be able to self-define. And I think all success comes back to like know thyself. And the reality is people are like if you get down there and yourself sucks, like you got to change, right? People are like, oh, just love yourself. It's like, well, maybe like you need to talk to you and have a little conversation. Like this isn't working out.
Yes, that's the sort of the crux of recovery.
Yes,
where it's like, I feel like a piece of crap, and it's like well, that's because you are.
That's because you are. Yeah. It's like, stop stealing from your mom.
Let's go. That's on brand. Yeah, actually. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Okay, one last one.
It's gonna pick the hardest one.
Okay.
I know.
I'm doing this one because I'm curious. What's a common piece of advice you completely disagree with?
Set a huge goal and just figure it out on the way. I think that's such bullshit.
Too easy.
I think it's like do the math and then make the commitment. So I think that's and then what common piece of advice I disagree with?
Yeah.
Man, I think that there. Man, wonder what other ones are.
The one for me that would be glaringly, like I'm like, man, that is the biggest. Follow your passion.
Oh, geez, kill me.
Ugh. And it's like, first off, what does that even mean? And then there is human nature is what it is, and let's say you do something for fun as a hobby, whatever, and it's like the way that you just integrate the everyday life, you know, where you kind of get away from everything.
Yeah.
And okay, now you're going to turn that into a business.
Because when someone says just follow their passion, what are they really saying? Like what do you hear said underneath that?
Oh, I hear that as I make money doing this fabulous thing that I'm great at or whatever, and it's like always it's like this predestined thing where, and then it's always coming from at least to me it seems like from a brag, like a humble brag kind of a thing where like what is your passion? And so for a lot of people, that is stuff that is not easily monetized.
No, and I think when you say like follow your passion, there's like we've been told this lie that if you just find something you love, it's almost like it's gonna be easy or it's gonna be simple. And it's like I agree with like, hey, what am I good at? What does the world need? What can I be highly rewarded for? Right? So like let's figure out that freaking matrix that goes together. Yet it's like it's not going to be easy.
Right. Well, and there's always an element too of like it's like some trite bullshit that somebody's throwing out there to feel better about themselves.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I don't know, maybe there is somebody, again, statistically, I'm sure there's somebody out there that loves accounting or loves, like I love doing forensic accounting. Okay, cool. But like is that really like is that something you would wake up? Because like to me, it always is the way that people describe some sort of creative career, because you never see people like, well, my passion was tarring roofs, and dude, it was just like I couldn't get enough of it. And now here, it's always something to do with something that other people would see in a light that is revered.
Yeah.
Whether it's I sing or I play guitar, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Of any kind of creative endeavor that they then basically monetize or figure out a way to make it lucrative.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's like there's no faster way, at least in my experience, to start to hate something.
Absolutely. Well, and like some hobbies should just stay hobbies.
Right.
You don't need to monetize everything. But I think the other thing too is like you and I have got good at I think finding the joy, even the stuff we don't want to do. And before that sounds too hairy fairy, right? Like Wayne's just unicorn, rainbow clouds. Like I had a client that she's like, I hate social media. And I was like, yet you love helping people. You love the reward you get from this. You love real estate, like all this kind of stuff. I was like, you don't necessarily have to love social media, but you can fall in love with the result that it gives you, and then fall in love with that. This is part of the process, right? So like she found she was able to kind of love social media now because she understands the purpose of it and what's behind it and how it leads to all the other stuff. So I think that it's like find joy in what you're doing.
Well, it's ironic so too in today's world where everybody wants to be an influencer or a YouTuber or whatever, and it's like if that's so your passion is getting attention from other people, and having people. Well, that's a passion of mine as well. Having people say you're awesome,
right,
or like you did amazing. It's like. Well, isn't that just human nature? Don't we all kind of want that? It's like, oh my God, does external validation ever go out of style?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Early returns are no.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so what's next? What do we got from this Friday to next Friday that is going to? It's a 3-day weekend. So
I'll give you my 2 cents, and here's my advice for especially the real estate agents out there.
Oh, there we go.
I think next year is going to be great. Here's what I want you to know. We know right now that the harvest is. I'll try hanging out with my dad last week. I'll try not to go full preacher mode on this.
Get the Farmer's Almanac out.
If you see my dad's basement, which is my office in Canada, it's just like a bazillion books. It's just like it's incredible. But to not go too far into Matthew, right? Here's what the harvest is. I think is going to be great next year. Yet we have a window to plant the seeds. Right, so like the next 60 days are your plant the seeds moment. You better figure out what can I give away? How can I help people to double my database? How do I double my following? How do I have a conversation with every single person I know in the next 90 days? Because this is your season to plant. The harvest is going to be phenomenal. Everyone's going to win in the harvest, right? But the ones that are going to win big are the ones that do the planting right now. They have the conversation. They have a whole list of people that, hey, next year I think I'm going to awesome, right? Like the people who are going to win are the ones that set 40 appointments for January in the next 60 days.
Yes. Well, and I do believe, and based on experience, that the results you get right now are from what you did 6 to 12 months ago.
100%. Yeah.
I love it. So everybody get out there and plant.
Get it.
Yes. All right,
Fired
brother.
up.
Yeah.